Sweetie. Yeah, we get the vibing, don't we? We got some topics to discuss. We get it poppin', homie. Just elected like the new mayor, putting on the classic like he Ric Flair. This is Josh Martinez and Z100, home of your favorite music where the beats are bumping. Pick your favorite company, the wait is over. It's a superstar crossover.
It's Z100, iHeartRadio, and the Superstar Crossover. My name is Josh Martinez with my guest, Powerhouse Hobbs of All Elite Wrestling. What's going on, bro?
What's up with you? Thank you for having me.
Nah, it's all love, man. Listen, you've made an immediate impact in the ring, even on the mic. But I just kind of want to jump into things. Recently, the Face of the Revolution ladder match.
Yeah.
What was that like for you, being a big man in a match like that?
It was crazy. I mean, just by the history of ladder matches, you never really seen any big beefy dudes in a ladder match, maybe a handful of times. But it was, I don't know, I still get goosebumps talking about it. And I think that people didn't have, kind of high expectations for the three large men that were in the match, and we proved everyone wrong.
Now, normally when you see bigger, beefy men in a ladder match, it's usually one. And the first three that they announced were kind of, fitting into that mold a little bit. When you found out you were going to be in that ladder match, did you think you would be the only one?
No. I was the third one to qualify for it. So I knew Keith Lee was already in it and Wardlow was already in it. So, when I qualified, I just hoped and prayed they got some bigger ladders that could hold us, because the three of us, that's over 800 pounds alone, not including the other three, excuse me.
Now, recently, the big wrestling news was the untimely death of Scott Hall.
Yeah.
What was Scott Hall like for you when you were growing up?
Scott Hall was a man. I mean, there were certain people that we were drawn to, just being from the hood and projects, and Scott Hall was one of those dudes. I remember playing wrestling in my grandma's front yard. Everybody wanted to be Scott Hall or Harlem Heat, or anyone from the NWO. And he just made everything so cool. Like, I remember going to restaurants and I always wanted to put a toothpick in my mouth because of him. I always tried to have that little curl coming down just like him. And I remember it was a show at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. And we stopped to get gas, and we saw the Click getting gas. And so we ran over, gave him a hug, and, we got some autographs. They were so cool. So the handful of times that I got to actually meet Scott Hall, he was super cool.
That's dope. And I like how you bring up his cool factor, right? Because I grew up in the hood as well. So I totally understand what you mean. What was it like growing up as a wrestling fan in your specific neighborhood?
It was cool. Not everybody wanted to admit they watched wrestling. Either you wanted to play football, basketball, baseball, or soccer. And I got made fun of because I watched wrestling and I wore wrestling t-shirts, and I carried my wrestling figures in my bag. I had bullies that would go in my backpack and purposely break my figures, so, but for me, some people that I hung around, we played our video games, made our own matches, our own pay-per-views. So it was cool. Like I said, and there were those certain guys that we were drawn to on TV that, we felt that fit the mold where we were from.
And by the way, those bitch ass bullies, I wonder,
they wouldn't do that shit now, because I ran into a few of them at the liquor store, and they looked at me and like, oh man, you grown up. And I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, try that now. Sorry, I don't mean to be cussing, but I'm like, I done grown up. So I done grown up. So
that's what we're all about here. Just straight up honesty. We'll just go unedited. It'll be more fun that way. So who's been the most instrumental to your career so far in AEW?
It'd probably my wrestling dad, Mark Henry. Billy Gunn gets on my case a lot. And I'll tell a story about Billy Gunn. I had a match, and I get back through the rail, and I see Billy standing with his hands in his pocket, and he gives me the nod, and I get excited, and I go over to talk to him, and he just goes like this. And I was just like, all right. And he gives me a smile. So Billy's been helpful. Dustin FTR, Big Show has helped me out. There's a handful of guys that I can go to about specific things. Number one guy I go to about my spine buster is Arn Anderson. So, like I put on Twitter, my spine buster is AA approved.
And that shit was pretty this past week. And listen,
It's
let's be honest.
Pretty, man. It's always pretty. It's always pretty. I'm like Ali. I shook the world when I dropped Keith.
Hey, man, listen, let's keep it real. It ain't easy. It ain't easy doing that to Keith Lee, I'm sure, but you made it look easy.
Powerhouse isn't just a name.
What's so we have St. Patrick's Day Slam tonight, Rampage this Friday night. As of right now, there's not that much love for Powerhouse Hobbs on the show or even on Friday. Can we expect to see you on camera?
You can always expect to see me. You don't know where I'm going to pop my head in. Now I may take a closer look at this TNT championship match. You know, I may end up finding Keith Lee, you know, so you got to just keep your eyes open and just watch.
I dig that.
I can't give all my secrets away, man.
Fair. I respect it. What has been your favorite moment so far in your career?
Wrestling CM Punk.
Let's talk about that, because my man hasn't been on TV in like 7 years, and you're the one that gets picked. Oh, and by the way, no big deal. It's in fucking New York City.
In front of 20,000 plus people. Now, and I will say this about him. He may get mad, but Punk is one of those dudes, after every match that I have that airs, he always sits down and watches it with me. So we sit down together and we break down stuff. So he may get mad, but I told the whole world, Punk. So you're that dude. But that match in Arthur Ashe, New York City, for the 20,000 plus people, like it was crazy. And that whole night had a special meaning to me, and Punk knew that, because it was about a month since my mom had passed away. So it's just emotions, and everything was everywhere. And, you know, before I think right before the match got announced, or the day the match got announced, you know, he pulled me aside and, you know, said, this is going to be for her. Don't worry about anything else. Nobody else. It's just you, me, and her. So that I will forever be grateful for.
Now, talk about the nerves before that match, or was that line enough for you to just let the nerves go?
I was nervous. If you take a look during my entrance, it took me about 3 seconds to get all the way down. Like, I was that nervous. I was in a rush to get down. Like, I was sliding and hopping and skipping. Like, I got to the back, and then Mark Henry was like, take your time on your entrance, because it literally took me maybe 3 seconds to get down, but nerves were everywhere. And like, as soon as his music hit and I looked around, you see everybody singing, and he comes up and stands up on that top rope. I was like, okay, shit's about to be on. And I just felt so comfortable out there.
Now, you mentioned, you know, recently losing your mother, and mentioned growing up in the hood. I'm sure there's a lot of hardships in your life. What do you do to try to bring yourself back down mentally and kind of even out?
Yeah. You know, just with the loss of my mother and the loss of my brother. And, you know, there's certain things that I just do to prepare myself daily, and just to get my mental state of mind ready. But those hardships got me here. I know that for a fact, you know, and losing my grandparents, which were also my inspiration to get into wrestling, because they're the ones that got me into wrestling. So, you know, just I know all of them are with me, and, you know, I feel them every time I go out and when I come back through the curtain. So, you know, it's just everything I went through in life has played a part in me getting signed to AEW, me sticking with wrestling. So
I think one of the most important things is the mental health aspect of things. The high that you feel after a big match, right? And then 3 hours later, you're by yourself in a hotel room coming down, and that's tough. Do you have any mental exercises to bring you back down to like that middle level?
After every match, when I'm in my hotel room, I write down the match in my notebook. No matter what type of match it is, I always write it down. I'm starting to do more meditation and just be thankful that I get to do what I love, because there's not that many people that are that have a job and, you know, especially doing what they love. So, and I also have a good group of friends around me, you know, also on the road.
So I'm sure music plays a huge role in your life as well, as it does for a lot of us.
Yeah.
This is a music station. I have random platinum plaques behind me. Who are your 5 favorite artists?
In any genre?
Any genre. I'm putting you on the spot. I don't want to hear a tie for 5th, so you name 7. I want 5 hard.
You want 5 hard? I love Ice Cube.
West Coast.
Like Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Michael McDonald's up on my list. Yeah, you know, that brother got some soul, man. I think that's 3. Man, he put me on the spot. I do love some Intruders.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I'm old school, man. Sundays are always oldies in my house, and still is when we clean up. And the 5th and final spot has to probably go to I love listening to Pac. Reason being is that a lot of his songs get me geared up and amped up and ready to go.
And a lot of his songs also get us thinking.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Still to this day, I will tear up to Dear Mama.
Yeah, well, man, that hits hard. And I remember this was years after the song came out, like Brenda's Got a Baby. Like I was real young singing that, maybe like 5. And my grandma had to break it down to me, and I was like, okay. But he has great messages in his songs.
It's funny you say that because I recently realized one of my first cassettes was a Boyz II Men album, and I'm over here singing "I'll Make Love to You," and I was in the fucking 1st grade, having no idea what I'm singing about. But I hear it on the radio, and it sounds cool, so fuck it, I'm gonna sing along.
Yep. That's just like me. Like my grandparents, they played a lot of blues, and I remember being young singing Clarence Carter. I'd be stroking, and I didn't know what the hell that meant. You know, so going to school singing that, and Big Mama get a phone call like, "Why are you singing this?" I'm like, "Well, y'all play this," and she didn't have an answer for that. So
it's like a lot of kids in middle school getting in trouble because they said "suck it" because that was
oh man, I was one of them. Like my grandma was like, "What is this crotch chop you're doing?" And I'm like, "It means suck it." She's like, "Suck what?" And I'm got a Hot Wheels track on my ass. So
I was gonna say it's a tough combo to have a granny.
Yeah.
So one thing I like to do, it's a superstar crossover. My next guest will be a WWE superstar, but I want you to ask them a question. So any question you got, I will let you take the floor.
Probably hit him with a general question. What inspired you to get into this business?
I like that. What inspired you? Do you have kind of that moment that got you in?
It was at a show at the Cow Palace. All I remember is from that night is Davey Boy Smith gorilla pressing Shawn Michaels over his head. And I thought that was the coolest thing. That's the only match I remember from that night. That was it. And especially just watching it on TV. So, I mean, I knew from a young age that's what I wanted.
That's dope. And it took you some time to get to the W point.
It did. There were many times I wanted to just drop it and say I quit. But, you know, I have children of my own. And what type of man and father would I be if I just quit in front of my kids? So that's something I refuse to ever do.
So I also have a newer benchmark, if you will.
Okay.
Where were you when? So I'm just going to kind of throw 3 things at you, and I want you to know, or tell me rather, where were you when? So where were you when AEW premiered on TNT?
I was working at Facebook and Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're like a digital platform savant?
You know, when I was working there, I was running the facilities department. So I had about like 4 buildings under my wing. So get there about 4 or 5 in the morning and handle business. So make sure everything was set up. But I was working there, still watching, still doing independent shows, hoping to get a break somewhere. I was still on the grind.
I was going to say, you're about to be way more valuable to AEW's digital department now.
Oh yeah. You know, and the funny thing about it, man, I still have so much more work to do. But it's funny, like how like I've requested time off, to do independent dates, and my boss wouldn't give it to me, and then my boss is one of the first people to congratulate me, and it's just like one of those things, like click, goodbye, like get the hell out of here. So
hey man, listen, there's a certain like successful feeling you get when you realize someone you don't like is about to try to dick ride you. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I knew you always could do it. Get the fuck out of here. Like, oh, now okay.
So where were you when you got the confirmation that you were going to get an AEW contract?
I was with my older son at his doctor's appointment. Well, that's when I saw it on social media. But when I knew I was getting the contract, it was for our Saturday night Dynamite. It was pre-taped that night, and I was stretching in the back, and I was getting ready to wrestle Darby Allin. And I'm stretching, and Tony walks by. He goes, "Hey, what's up, Willie?" I'm like, "Hey, what's up, Tony?" And he stops and he comes back and goes, "Hey, after this match, I'm gonna give you a contract," and just walks off. And I'm like, "What?" Like, I wanted to get up and just chase him, but I was up next. And so, talking about putting the pressure on somebody, I was just like, damn, okay. So go out, have the match with Darby, and, talent relations and Tony have a tier 0 contract for me. And then after that, I end up moving up. So yeah, that was just weird for me. I'm stretching, and the boss goes, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a contract," and it walks off. And it was
did he dead ass refer to you as William?
No, Willie. Everybody
Willie,
calls me
okay.
Willie. Yeah, everybody calls me Willie. That's what the people call me at home. People call me here. I'll answer that before I answer William or Will. So
I was just having that conversation with my cousin, who is my cousin Willie, right? And he said how weird it is at work if people are like, William. It's like, all his life has been Willie.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, only time I would hear William was like if I was at school or if I was getting in trouble. It's just so weird to hear William. I'm like, who the hell is that? And
then the final, where were you when CM Punk's iconic pipe bomb went down?
I was at home watching it.
Oh. Did you realize what was happening?
I didn't until after the fact, until I started talking about it with people.
Same. I vividly remember like Sports Illustrated picking it up and all these like legitimate mainstream news stories. You know what I'm saying?
It was strange though. And I'm just like, okay, what's happening? And then we start rapping and talking about it. I'm like, oh, okay. That's the first. That's hey.
It's all good. One more time, Powerhouse Hobbs, we appreciate you. Thank you for participating in the Superstar crossover and asking the next question to a WWE superstar. Before we do go, final thing, is there anything you would like to say to Big E? I saw you tweet something, and you always show them love. So go ahead.
He knows how I feel about him. E, I wish you a speedy recovery. I'm gonna keep texting you and blowing you up like I do. Need anything, call me. But I want to see you get back in this ring, man. So take your time, get healthy, and do what you do, brother.
Love it. One more time, St. Patrick's Day Slam, Wednesday night on TBS, Rampage, Friday night on TNT, Powerhouse Hobbs, part of Team Taz, which, by the way, the coolest motherfuckers are from Brooklyn. So I'm just letting you know.
And the West Coast. Come on now. Come on now.
All right, fine.
All right.